So in our last class, we completed the CVP analysis. After the explanation of the underlying concepts, we were able to solve 4 different illustrations, 2 under single products, and 2 additional illustrations for multi-product organization. And of course, the next topic we are going to be starting today is working capital management, a very interesting topic, and it's a very popular concept as well, because every individual or business organization needs working capital in order to survive, because you, as an individual, as a student, before you are able to join this class, would have incurred data cost, would have incurred lecture fee. You would have spent one form of expenses or the other, which means that if you lack that cash for you to be able to do all those activities, certainly you will not be able to join the class. Even if you have paid for your lecture fee, if you don't have the means to purchase your data, you won't be able to join this particular class. Therefore, it means that working capital is important for you. On a monthly basis, you earn salary. Out of your salary, of course, you are going to spend some money to keep yourself in a good shape. You spend some money from your salary to pay rent, to transport yourself, to commute yourself to and from to the office on a daily basis, and for the entire month. So you are going to pay. You are going to purchase some items you keep at home for that will sustain you for the next 1 month from your salary. So all these expenses, if you don't manage your working capital effectively, certainly you are going to run out of cash, and then there may be problem, because if by end of the month, since you know that you depend on the monthly salary for you to survive, so if you don't manage your working capital effectively, you will realize that before the middle of the month, you would have finished spending your money, because you just be spending the money anyhow, no planning, okay, no proper coordination of your expenses. So you wouldn't know what you need, just be doing things anyhow. Oh, okay, I've paid my salary for this month. Oh, 1.5 million naira, 2 million naira, 500,000 naira. Oh, I saw a particular dress. Congress wore a particular dress, and I like that dress, so I need to go and purchase it. Then you go to the market, you buy. Maybe that dress is about 300,000 naira out of your salary of 500. Just buy it. Okay. Oh, they are going to have, there's a new movie in town, so I'm going to cinema to watch. Before you know it, the entire 500,000 naira of your salary is gone. You have not been able to plan to make some provision for your monthly rental expenses, for your upkeep. Then if you have finished spending the money, what that simply means is that you need to borrow. Started borrowing money here and there. Okay, please, can I get 50,000 naira from you? Please, can I have small change? Before you know it, you become indebted to some people, and at the end of the day, by month end, once you receive your salary, you need to settle those people that you have purchased, that you have borrowed money from. So all of this require proper planning. If you want to look at the perspective of an organization, every company needs money. Okay, company needs cash to pay salaries. Okay, to settle short-term obligation as they become due. Company needs money to purchase inventory and other supplies. So if the company is unable to take care or to cater for any of these expenses, there will be the operation, there won't be any smooth business operation. There will not be smooth business operation, because all the activity of the business may be curtailed or may be disrupted as a result of that. Because if by end of the month, the company is unable to pay salary, staff or the workers will not be happy, because the workers, they rely heavily on their monthly pay. So if the company denies or delay the payment of their salary, then there is a problem. That means the going concern of the business is being threatened. And that's why it is important for every individual as well as the business entity to manage their working capital in a judicious and efficient manner. All right. So that is essence of what we want to do today. So you manage your working capital for the company to be able to be liquid enough, okay, to be liquid enough for them to be able to settle short-term obligations as they become due. Therefore, that is the background of what we want to discuss tonight. What do you then understand by working capital? Simply put, working capital can be said to be the difference between current assets and current liability, or the amount required for the day-to-day running of a business. The day-to-day running of a business, for the company to be able to function properly, you need to pay salary, you need to pay stationery, you need cash to buy some stationaries. You need money to pay for electricity. You need money to pay for water, heat, and all of that. All those expenses that company will normally incur in the office. Then you need money to pay. You need cash to pay it, and that's essence of what we are trying to do here. And not only that, that's on one side. On the flip side, what do you understand by working capital management? Because they're different. There's difference between working capital and working capital management. I just explained to you that working capital represents the amounts required for the day-to-day running of the business. That is the difference between current assets and current liability. However, when you talk about working capital management, it simply means the judicious and efficient management of each component of current asset and current liability. Okay, in the statement of financial position in the balance sheet, you have current asset, you also have current liability. The component of current asset include inventories, okay, accounts receivable, prepayments, cash and cash equivalent, and other components of the current asset. Under the current liability, you have account payable and any other deals. Therefore, the judicious and efficient management of each component of current asset and current liability is what is referred to as working capital management. Okay, how do you manage your inventory? How do you manage your account receivable? How do you manage cash and cash equivalent? All these things. How do you manage account payable? These are the things we are going to be looking at as far as this topic is concerned. Therefore, what is the purpose of working capital management? Why are you managing your working capital? The primary purpose of working capital management is to ensure that the companies always maintain sufficient cash flows to meet the short-term operating cost and short-term debt obligation, which simply means that the company must be liquid enough. Liquidity is the ability of a company to turn the asset to cash quickly. You need money to settle salary, you have the money to pay. You need cash to pay your suppliers, you have the cash to pay to settle your obligations. All these things is what is called liquidity. Okay, when the company is unable to settle any of those expenses, that means the company is illiquid. All right, the company is illiquid. When the company is illiquid and it continue on a consistent basis, then it means that the going concern, okay, of the business is being threatened, which means that there is tendency for the company to collapse in a very short horizon, okay, in a no distant period. In a no distant time, it is possible for the company to collapse. That is the meaning of a company that is illiquid and unable to, of course, once a company is illiquid, the company may not be able to run the business profitably because your mind will not be settled, because you just be moving from one place to another to look for funds to run your business, and that may be an issue. All right, so now the efficient working capital management should ensure that smooth financial operation. Of course, efficient working capital management should ensure smooth financial operation, and including to help to improve earnings and profitability of a business. If the company is liquid, certainly there is tendency for the company to earn a kind of some degree of profitability for the business in order to maximize the shareholders' value. Okay, so that is the introduction to working capital management. Then the next area we want to discuss now is working capital cycle. When you talk about working capital cycle, it can also be called cash operating cycle, or non-net operating cycle. Whatever the name that is being called is the same thing. It's the same thing. Once you are asked, okay, once you are asked to explain operating cycle or cash operating cycle or working capital cycle or gross operating cycle, is the same thing. What do you mean by working capital cycle? Like I explained to you the other time, the company needs cash to do certain things to run the business effectively as well as judiciously. Therefore, when you talk about working capital cycle, it represents the length of time between when cash is spent to purchase raw material and when cash is finally received from debtors through sales. All right. So you are going to spend money to purchase raw material. The raw material will be transformed into work in progress. Work in progress will metamorphose into finished goods. Customer will then come and buy the finished goods. Once the customer buy the finished goods, they will pay you. They will pay you cash. Once they whether they pay in cash or whether they buy it in cash on credit, the bottom line is that they are still going to pay the cash. So once the company receive the cash, that means that cycle has been completed. And that's what we are saying, that working capital cycle represents the length of time between when cash is spent to purchase raw material and when cash is finally received from debtors through sales. That is working capital cycle. All right. So the longer the cycle, okay, the longer the cycle, the longer capital is tying up without any return, without achieving any return on the cash. And that's why the shorter the cycle, the better for the organization. Every companies must manage their working capital effectively in order to ensure that the operating cycle is shorter. I mean, it's at a minimum, okay, not too long. It's shorter, because once it is shorter, when that cycle is shorter, the company will be able to turn around and then be able to run the business profitably. Because once a company is liquid, is liquid enough, it will enhance the capacity of the company it will enhance the profit maximizing goals of the organization. All right, so that is for that. Therefore, every company must strive to reduce their working capital cycle by collecting receivables, okay, quicker, or sometimes stretching account payable. What does that simply means is that, of course, every business entity will have customers. There are two different categories of customer. We have paying customers. We also have some customers that may want to buy on credit. For those that want to buy on credit, the company must establish a policy, okay, working capital management policy, okay, that will guide all the operations of the company in relation to working capital management. And the company management must ensure that every parties, including employees, directors, and every parties within the organization abide and they comply with the dictates of the guideline or policy in relation to working capital management. All right. So because the working capital guideline or policy will dictate the term and condition that every customers must adopt or the company must follow when dealing with suppliers. Okay. For example, it may well be that the credit terms of this company is 30 days or 15 days or 45 days or 2 months. So once a company has established a policy in relation to receivables, then that policy must be followed judiciously and spiritually. Because if the company fails to do that, all right, there may be problem. All right, the operation of the company may be curtailed, and that's why it is important. If a customer is owing you and the credit term you give to the customer is 15 days, you must ensure that that money is collected within the 15 days. If it is 30 days or 45 days, you just have to ensure that that money is collected within the specified or stipulated time. Because if the company fails to do that, say for example, you have given a credit term of 30 days, and then once it is about half a month, okay, the half of the period that you give to the customer, you have to be sending reminder. Place your money, your accounts will be due in the next 15 days, in the next 2 weeks. Please ensure you pay on time. Once it is about 5 days or 3 days to the due date, you also set another reminder with the expectation that on the final day, you must receive your total payment. If the customer, if by end of the period, say for example, by end of the month, after 30 days, the customer has not paid, you need to take steps. You don't relax. But when you're now having 15 days due, overdue, the receivable is overdue, okay? After 30 days period, the grace period that you granted to the customer, then you now have extra 15 days which you have not collected the money. That money, that debt is becoming something else. Otherwise, it may be bad. If your debt is bad, that's a loss to the company. So you need to, in order to minimize, okay, bad debt, and it is important for you to manage your receivable effectively. So that is that. Now, how do you examiner can ask you to explain working capital cycle. Once you explain all these things I'm talking about, you need to draw the diagram. Okay, like I mentioned the other time, I said the working capital cycle is the length of time between when cash is used to purchase raw material. Okay, this raw material, you use cash to purchase raw material, and this raw material is transformed to finished goods. All right, sorry, the raw material is transformed to work in progress. This work in progress is transformed to finished goods. The finished goods, customer will then come and buy. Once the customer buy, okay, once the customer buy the finished goods, they have to pay back cash. Okay, they have to pay back cash. That is what is called operating cycle. That's the diagram of the operating cycle. That's the diagram of the operating cycle. So it's like that. So master all of this and then make sure you know it. All right. So I've already talked about the need for the company to establish a policy and guideline to manage working capital judiciously. Therefore, how do you then compute working capital cycle? How do you compute working capital cycle? There are different 5 components. There are 5 components of working capital cycle. All right. So each of them, we are going to talk about it one after the other. Let me see if I have the table here. So I don't have the table for working capital cycle. I only have the formula. Let me look for a space. All right. So when you want to calculate working capital cycle, so like I said, there are 5 components of working capital cycle. So let me just say working capital cycle. Okay, when you want to calculate working capital cycle, let me list the 5 items, then I will now explain it. The first item you are going to compute is the raw material conversion period. All right, so raw material, let me shorten it because of space. Raw material conversion period. Okay, you put it there. You go and do your working, you put it there. Then number 2 is work in progress conversion period. Again, go and do your working, you post. Number 3, finished goods conversion period. Do your working, you post. Number 4, debtors conversion period or debtors collection period. You post. You add up the 4 elements. You have the gross, this is what is called gross working capital cycle or gross operating cycle. Let me use operating because of space. Gross operating cycle. So after the gross operating cycle, you need to less creditors, payments, period. Creditors payment period, less from the gross. So whatever you have thereafter will represent the net operating cycle. All right. So this is how to calculate the working capital cycle. Would have been very easy if you can just go to the question, you pick raw material conversion period, work in progress conversion period, and all of that. But again, you need to go and do working for each of them. So before you begin to talk about how to calculate raw material conversion period, work in progress conversion period, finished goods or whatever, you need to understand, because I don't want situation whereby you are going to cram. So once you understand the fundamentals, so you'll be able to tweak it the way you like. You'll be able to rigmarole, put it the way in your own language because you understand the concept. Then that will enable you to demonstrate the skills in the concept. All right. So what do you then mean by raw material conversion period? You know, when you purchase raw material, of course, that raw material will be kept in the store or in the warehouse from which you are going to be issuing out for production. When you want to produce, you go to the factory, you go to the warehouse or to the store, you go and issue some part of the raw material, you take it to the factory to produce, right? Therefore, when you talk about raw material conversion period, it represents the number of days raw material is held in the store before going into production, okay? You know, when you go to the market and purchase the raw material, you are going to keep it in the warehouse. So from the warehouse, you issue out. Therefore, you want to know what is the number of days this raw material stayed in the warehouse before going into production. So that is raw material conversion period. So the shorter the raw material conversion period, the better for the organization. Then, how do you then calculate the raw material conversion period? Raw material conversion period is simply raw material divided by purchases multiplied by 365 or 360 days in a year. That is how to calculate raw material conversion period. Then the second one, work in progress conversion period. The work in progress conversion period is the length of time in the production cycle. So once you have taken the raw material, you have removed part of the raw material from the warehouse, you take it into the production. So you want to know what is the length of time in that production cycle. When you're now producing the raw material, you are turning the raw material to finished goods. So during that process of converting raw material to finished goods, so you are in the production process. That is work in progress because it's not yet finished goods. So it is work in progress. Therefore, the length of time in the production cycle is what is referred to as work in progress conversion period. Okay, work in progress conversion period. Again, the shorter the cycle, the better for the organization. How do you then compute the work in progress conversion period? Is simply work in progress divided by cost of sales. All right, work in progress conversion period is work in progress divided by sales. The third one is finished goods conversion period. Okay, the finished goods conversion period represents the number of days finished goods is held in store before being sold. All right. Now, after production, when you finish producing the goods, you are not going to keep it in the warehouse, sorry, in the factory. Okay, you have to go and store it in the warehouse or put it in the store. From the store, you now issue for sale. So it will be taken to the market to sell. Therefore, you want to know what is the length of time, what is the number of days that finished goods is kept in the warehouse or in the store before being sold. Then again, the shorter the period, the better for the organization. Because if your finished goods stay longer in the warehouse, especially if it's a perishable kind of goods, or of course, if it stay longer, that particular item or goods may become obsolete. All right, technology may render it obsolete, and then that will be a loss to the organization. Therefore, you have to ensure that the finished goods conversion period is as shorter as possible, okay? To enable the company to turn around all those goods to turn into sales, all right? In order to earn revenue, to earn profit, all right? Then the fourth one, okay, how do you then calculate the finished good conversion period? So you simply finished goods divided by cost of sales. All right, finished goods divided by cost of sales is the finished goods conversion period. Number 4, which is debtors collection period or debtors conversion period. It simply means the number of days credit is given to customers. You know, for a manufacturing company or a company that is into that is selling goods, okay, company that is selling that have products, all right. So when customer come, they can buy in cash, they can buy on credit. So when customer buys on credit, then that means we want to determine, as a company, you want to determine what is the number of days credit is given to customer. You want to know your credit terms to the customer. All right. So the number of days credit is given to customers, and it is calculated as debtors divided by credit sales. All right. Debtors divided by credit sales, or multiply by 365 days. All of them, all the 5 elements, you are going to multiply with either 365 days or 360 days in a year, depending on the assumption, if not given to you. Then the last one is the creditor's payment period. The creditor's payment period represents the number of days credit is given, credit is taken from suppliers. All right. Creditors payment period represent, or creditors conversion period represent the number of days credit is taken from suppliers. All right. So it is the supplier that will give another company that will give the company credit. Therefore, you want to know what is the length of time, or what is the number of days credit is taken from the supplier. The longer, the better for the organization, which simply means that the company will be using other people's money to run the operation of the business. And then again, company must be very careful before in the use of the company must be very careful in order not to delay the payment to the suppliers. Otherwise, that may erode the credit worthiness of the company, and it may create a bad blood between the company and the supplier, because if you delay my money beyond the due date without justification, I may deny you future credit, such that if you want to buy goods in the future, I will ask you to pay me cash. If you don't pay me cash, that means you are not ready to buy. Okay, that's the bottom line. Again, the same thing applies to the students. If you have approached me, Mr. Adejuwan, please, I don't have my lecture fee, and I will pay you by end of the month once I earn my salary. I expect that by end of the month you pay your salary. You pay your lecture fee. If 15 days after the end of the month that you promise and you don't pay, I will continue to push you. I will continue to follow up with you to ensure that you pay. If you are in the skills level, just as you are right now, and then, of course, I've experienced that, in the first, when you were at skills level, you promised to pay your lecture fee by end of the month, but you did not pay, you delayed. All right. So as a result, when you now get to the professional level, you are asking for for more time to pay your lecture fee. We are not going to grant you, because in the first instance, you have failed us. All right. That means you are not credit worthy. And that's how it works in practice. So if at all you want to delay, you don't have the means. Oh, Mr. Adejuwan, please, there is this, there is that. Please give me additional days. I will settle this thing and not. So as a company, as a responsible entity, if you know that you want to delay payment to your creditors or to your supplier, you need to call. Okay, you call your supplier and please give us more time. We are working to make your payment. All right, in no time, please. So instead of you to just keep quiet and and be waiting for the supplier to come and be chasing you here and there, that is not good. That will impair your image and also erode your credit worthiness. So a company must guide against that. So like I was trying to say, all those things I just explained to you, how to calculate working capital cycle. These are all the information there. So you can either use 365 days, okay, or 360 days. If in the question the examiner did not tell you whether you should use 365 or 360 days in a year, so you are going to make an assumption. Whichever one that you use, that's what the examiner will mark for you. All right. So you can just go through the material and gain more insight. So once you are done with your working, you need to, first of all, when you want to calculate working capital cycle, you need to first of all do your working, and you have to show your working. All right. So once you are done with your working, then you go and post. Come and post here for each of them. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. This is the summary. So, but you have to show your working using all these formulas. All right. This is the second one. This is the third one. Number 4, then number 5. So you must show your workings. All right. So that is that. Now, before we move to the another scope of the topic, let's demonstrate all these things that we'll be talking since. Let's have illustration to demonstrate our learnings. All right. So let's have an illustration on how to calculate working capital cycle. So before the illustration, let me know if you have any question for me. If there's none, then move straight to solving question. Okay, I believe you are good. All right, then let's have illustration. If I'm able to solve 2 or 3 illustration under this, under operating cycle. In 2023, in 2023 May diets, so ICANN tested operating cycle number 1A, then number 1B of the question was decision making under uncertainty, maximus, minimax, and all of that. That was the question, 30 marks. Okay. All right, so let's solve this illustration number 12. Let's start from illustration number 12. I need somebody to read for us illustration 12.
The working capital cycle of a business is the length of time between payments for inventory, entering into inventory, and receipt of the proceeds of sales. The table below gives information extracted from the Statement of Comprehensive Income and the Statement of Financial Position of Ballerina plc for the years 2012 to 2014. You are required to calculate the working capital cycle for each of the 3 years and explain 3 possible actions that might be taken to reduce the length of the cycle and 2 possible disadvantages of each.
Thank you very much. That is the question. In the A requirements, examiner is asking you, all right, to calculate working capital cycle for each of the 3 years. So this is a very simple and straightforward question. And this kind of a question, you must and the meaning of each of them. So you go to the question, you go and select all those 5 components, one after the other. You do your working for them. Once you are done doing the working, then you go and post. However, it is not compulsory that at any time you are going to have the entire 5 components in a question. Whichever one that you have are the ones you are going to do workings for. Okay, and you are going to calculate for. So let me stop sharing this and move to the working notes. All right. Okay. The name of this company is Ballerina. What illustration is that? Illustration number 12. Solution to illustration number 12. Ballerina PLC. Okay. Ballerina PLC. What are we asked to do? We have to determine working capital cycle. All right. So we want to determine working capital cycle. I will then say number A, calculating working capital cycle. That's what the examiner asks us to do. To do this, I will go to the question, do I have raw material? We are given raw material, work in progress, finished goods, there is debtor, receivables, there's also accounts payable. Therefore, I will list all of them. Of course, whatever we want to do must be expressed in days. So the first item is raw material. I want to calculate. I can say raw material conversion period. Or I can say number of days raw material is held in store. Okay. Number of days raw material is held in store. If I don't call it raw material conversion period, I can call it number of days raw material is held in store. Then also, I need to go and calculate work in progress conversion period. I need to calculate finished goods conversion period. Number 4, I need to calculate debtors collection period. Okay? Debtors conversion period. Then I will add everything together for me to have gross working capital cycle. Then I will less creditors payments period. Okay, whatever I have thereafter will then give me the next working capital cycle. All right, so let's go and do our working now. We have established our template that we want to post for. So let us go and do our working. All right, so we want to work out each of them. We have 3 years, 2012 to 2014. So I will have a column for 2012, 2013, then 2014. Then let's say two lines for each of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5. Okay. I can make it a straight line then. Let me make it a straight line, since the system will help me to do it. So let me make it a straight line. Okay. Yeah, that's Microsoft. Good. Okay, that's that. Then, of course, the heading. And this one too. Good. Let me draw this one down. You have to scroll to. Okay, that's better. That's better. Okay, the last one. On this other side. Good. So I will then go to the question. Of course, we have raw material. So I will say raw material conversion period, which is equal to raw material divided by purchases or raw material purchase multiplied by, in the question, examiner did not tell us whether we should use 360 or 365 days. So we are going to assume 365 days. If you like, you can assume 360. Whatever you assume is what the examiner will mark for you. So here is 365 days. All right. Again, it is possible. Examiner may want you to use average figure. So if you have to use average figure, just add together the opening raw material plus closing raw material divided by 2. That will give you average. Then divide by purchases, multiply by 365. You do the same thing for everything if examiner wants you to use average. All right. But in this case, examiner is silent. So you're at liberty to do it anyhow you like. Therefore, I will go to the question. I want to calculate raw material conversion period. How much is raw material for 2012? 2012 raw material is 1080. Then what's purchases? Purchases is Raw material is this,
Oh.
purchases is this. So let's divide raw material by the purchases. 1080 divided by 5184. Here is 1080 divided by 5184, all multiplied by 365. Give it to me. What you get?
76 days.
76 days. Then in 2013, 1458 divided by 720. 1458. Here is 1458 divided by 70. Is it 7020? Yes,
Yes.
7020.
75.
7020 multiplied by 365 days. Give it to me.
76 days.
76 days. All right. In 2014, 1800 divided by 72. 1800 divided by 7,200 multiplied by 365 days. What you get?
91 days.
91 days is the raw material conversion period for 2014. The next thing we want to do is to calculate work in progress. Work in progress conversion period, which simply means work in progress divided by cost of sales multiplied by 365 days in a year. So I will then go to the question. We have work in progress of 756 divided by cost of sales of 7560. Okay. Here is 756 divided by 7560 multiplied by 365 days. Give it to me. What you get?
37 days.
Pardon?
37 days.
37 days. Here is 37 days. So in 2013, what do you have as work in progress? (2013) work in progress. Here is work in progress. We are taking work in progress over cost of sales. All right. So 972 divided by 9720. 972 divided by 9720 multiplied by 365 days. So what you get?
37 days.
37 days. The next one, 2014, 933 divided by 10983. Okay, 933 divided by 10983 multiplied by 365 days. Give it to me.
31 days.
31 days. The next one is finished goods conversion period. Finished goods conversion period, which is equal to finished goods divided by cost of sales. All right. Okay, let's use cost of goods sold divided by cost of goods sold. Since I'm shortening it, it's the same. Cost of goods sold and cost of sales are the same. Multiply by 365. So in 2012, finished goods is 864. All right. So 864. Here is 864 divided by 7560 cost of sales multiplied by 365 days. Give it to me.
42 days.
42 days. In 2013, finished goods is 1296 divided by cost of sales 1296 divided by 9720 multiplied by 365 days. What you get?
49 days.
49 days. Then in 2014, finished goods is 1428. Here is 1428 divided by 10,983. Let me write that 8. Multiply by 365 days. What you get?
47 days.
47 days. Then we have debtors conversion period, which is debtors divided by credit sales. If you are not told in the question, if you are not told the proportion of credit sales, then you are going to assume that all sales are on credit. At times, examiner may tell you that 80% of the revenue are on credits. So that means you need to determine 80% of the total revenue as your denominator case. At times, examiner may tell you that 30% are on cash. So if 30% are on cash, it means that 70% are on credit. So you must know how to apply this. Therefore, what is debtors in 2012? In 2012, debtors is the same thing as receivable, which is 1728. And then, of course, revenue is 8640. Therefore, 1728, here is 1728 divided by revenue of 8640. Multiply by 365. What you get?
73 days.
73 days. Then, of course, in 2013, trade receivable 2592 divided by 10,800. 2592. Here is 2592 divided by 96. Sorry, divided by 10,800. 10,800 multiplied by 365. So what do you get?
88 days.
88 days. Then finally, in 2014, for debtors collection period, so we have 2970 divided by 11,880. 2970. So 2970 divided by 11,880 multiplied by 365. What you get?
91 days.
91 days. So the last one is creditors conversion period or creditors payment period, which is creditors divided by credit purchase. Credit purchases multiplied by 365. So in 2012, creditor account payables, trade payables is 864. Our purchases is what you are buying on credit, so 5184. All right. Creditors is 864 divided by credit purchase of 5184. 864 divided by 5184 multiplied by 365 days. So what do you have there?
61 days.
61 days. In 2013, payable is 1053. Here is 1053 divided by purchases of 7020. Multiply by 365. What you get?
43 days.
Sorry, excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Are we supposed to approximate days?
of course.
Like
no.
if you get 60.8, can you say 60?
You
Why don't you say
approximate.
60 days instead of 61? Okay.
You approximate.
All right, thanks.
So 1260, you're welcome. 1260 divided by purchases of 72. multiply by 365 days. What you get?
I'm sorry, sir.
What you
The 2013 is 55 days.
55 days, please.
55 days, okay? Error of mouth. 55 days, all right?
That's
2040,
64 days.
64 days, 64 days.
64 days. So this is what is expected of you. You can't just go and be calculating working capital cycle without showing your workings. You have to demonstrate how you arrive at your number. It's a given. It's what you should do. All right. So you have to demonstrate this. Therefore, let's go and post. For the raw material conversion period, I have 76, 76, and 91. So I will then come here. Oh, sorry, I have 3 years. Let me redo this one. So in that case, let me adjust this. Okay, including this. So we say gross working capital cycle. All right. Then creditors payment period. I have 9th working capital cycle. On the day of your exam, don't go and be writing, don't go and be abbreviating. WCC, write everything out in full, write everything in full. Don't go and be abbreviating. Any spirit that would make you to lose mark, you have to counter it. Okay. So I have 2012, 2013, then 2014. Okay. All right. So what we are looking for is this guy here. Okay. Gross. All right. You have to complete your table. Don't do one side and leave the other one. You are not straight. Okay. All right. So let's post. Here is 76 days, 76 days, then 91 days. For work in progress conversion periods, we have 37, 37, 31, 37, 37, 31. Then finished goods, we have 42, 49, 47, 42, 49, 47. Then debtors. Debtors 738891. Seven three 8891. So let's add up. Let's add up the numbers. So I will do for 2014, which is 91 plus 31 plus 47 plus 91 equal 260.
2014
2014 is what?
260.
Okay.
2013 to 10.
210,
212, 228.
228, 228. All right then. So if that is the case, our creditors payment period for each year, 61, 55, 64. 61, 55, 64. So what do you have?
167, 212.
167,
155, 2013.
155,
196, 2014.
196. So that is what the examiner wants us to do. You have to calculate the working capital cycle for each year. So 9 marks. That's what we have done. Okay. So these numbers that we have computed is meaningless. 167 days, 155 days, 196 days are meaningless until you are able to compare it with the established guidelines of the organization. As far as working capital cycle is concerned, what is the guideline in relation to working capital cycle within the organization? If this one is shorter than what the management has set as a standard, then that means it's a good one. That's on one side. Again, you also need to compare this with the industry average, okay? Within the industry, what is the net working capital cycle of your peers, of your comparables, all right? So if your comparables has the lower operating cycle, it means that they are doing better than you do. So because don't forget what I said, the shorter the period, the better for the organization, all right? But again, in this question, you only have to compute, and that's what we have done. Then the B part of the question, examiner is asking you to explain 3 possible actions that might be taken to reduce the length of the cycle and 2 possible disadvantages of each. So all of you must participate in this particular requirement. Examiner is asking you to explain 3 possible actions that might be taken to reduce the length of the operating cycle. So what the examiner is simply asking you is that, of course, you have computed raw material conversion period, work in progress conversion period, debtors collection period to reduce the cycle. So meaning that you are going to talk about each of the components that make up the cycle. For example, how do you reduce your raw material conversion? Because you know that if all the 5 elements that make up the working capital cycle reduce, that means that of course the overall working capital cycle will also reduce. Therefore, how do you reduce your working capital? I'm asking you now, how do you reduce your working capital cycle? Sir, net working capital cycle is not correct for 2013. Okay, so let's check 2013. 155. Okay, let's add it up again. 2030, 76. Let me confirm myself. 76 plus 37 plus
250.
49 plus 88 equal. That's 250. Wow. And somebody gave me 210. You're on your own. You're on your own. Shine your eye. 250. Thank you, Ahmad. So this is 195. So that's 195. All right. Okay then. So I'm now throwing it to you. I'm throwing the challenge to you. How do you reduce the cycle? If you want to reduce if you want to reduce the raw material conversion period, okay, Kunle, tell us.
Yes, sir. For one, we can have a discussion with our creditors to increase the number of days the creditors' payment period, so that it can be longer than what it
Okay.
used to be.
Okay, you can negotiate with the suppliers to extend the payment period, of course. it's a plus. Once you increase the payment period, that will reduce the cycle, because you are delaying payment to your suppliers. That will enable you to have sufficient funds to run the business. Okay, so that's fantastic. Yes.
Then for raw material.
You did not raise your hand.
Okay, sorry.
Armand, it's like you raised your hand before. I can't hear you.
So
Take it again.
for raw
Armand.
material, I will. For raw material,
Yep.
I will suggest that they production.
Please take it again.
I would suggest that they introduce just-in-time procurement, that is buying raw materials only when it is needed for production.
You are correct. So instead of investing so much on raw material, why don't you just adopt just-in-time system, so that only when you need the raw material is when you are going to purchase it. So that will also reduce the cycle, instead of you to just keep the raw material in the warehouse. So that will save the storage space. All right. So the company will not incur any storage or stock holding cost as a result. So yes. Then in addition to that, another thing the company can do is to reduce the amount of the raw material. You can reduce the quantity of the raw material. All right. Again, there are costs. Because don't forget what the examiner is asking you. You have to state possible action that can be taken. Not only that, you also need to state two possible disadvantages of each. Okay. So as you are stating the possible action to reduce the length, what are the disadvantages? So all of this, you have to do it together. For example, like Kunle said the other time, on the delaying payment to the suppliers. So when you delay payment to suppliers, that may erode the credit worthiness of the company. And then also the supplier can deny the company the credit facility going forward, such that the company may be required to pay cash if you need raw material going forward. All right? Yes. Any other? Yes, Joy, you raise hand.
Yes, sir. So I think that the company can introduce the discount kind of payments, that's giving discounts for people that are paying immediately, or giving like a form of discount for customers to pay early.
Yes, to reduce your finished goods conversion period. To reduce finished goods conversion period, what Joy is saying is that we can extend discounts to the customer in order to motivate and encourage the customer to pay cash. All right. Then you can introduce discount. For example, now, instead of if you want to enjoy equity lectures, so maybe you don't have your lecture fee, say for example, for one subject is 30,000. You are supposed to pay 30,000. So you're now saying that, please, I will pay this money by end of the month. I can say, okay, instead of you to pay the money by end of the month, okay, I will give you a discount of 5% so that you can pay cash immediately. So that 5% is something. It's a saving to you as a customer. Therefore, you will be encouraged to want to pay cash. Yes, because once you receive cash, that will reduce the cycle. That means you are going to take out the goods from the store, then your customer will just take it away. That will reduce the quantity you have there. All right. So then that is for that. Okay. So of course, the discount that the company is giving to the customer is a cost to the company. That discount is a cost to the company, because that will reduce the profit of the company. Okay, that's one of the disadvantages that you have to take into consideration under the finished goods. All right. Yes, Kunle, you raise hand again. Talk to me.
Yes, sir. To reduce the work in progress conversion period, we can make the production process more effective. Maybe through employing more workers, improving the capacity of the machine, and probably making the production process more efficient. And then the downside or the disadvantage is that we will probably incur more cost employing more staff and maybe more cost, I mean, making the machines to work more effectively. And then
Yeah.
other one is that overtime would probably also come in, and it could increase our overhead
Yeah.
as time.
Yeah, you are correct. Phyllis, you are right. Because as far as the work in progress is concerned, this is where you carry out the production process. All right. Therefore, if you are staying longer in the production cycle, that means there's a problem. Like for example, in our calculation under work in progress, you will see that even though in 2014 it has reduced from 37 days to 31 days. So what can we do to reduce the work in progress conversion period? Like Kunle suggested, the company can purchase if for example, if there's a new technology in town, a new machine, okay, that can produce better quality and high volume products. So that can also enhance operating efficiency. Then it is better for the company to purchase that. When this happens, of course, the disadvantage to that is that the company will spend more additional money to purchase the machine. Okay, the company will spend additional money to purchase the machine. And then, according to Kunle, he also suggested under the work in progress that, of course, we may expand the capacity of the existing machinery. Once we expand the capacity of the existing machinery, that will enable the company to recruit additional labor. If the company recruits additional labor, the extra cost, the company will incur extra labor cost, okay, for the extra labor hired. So these are some of the things that examiner is asking you as far as the possible action to be taken is concerned. So that's end of the question. Let's have one more illustration under this. Okay. Now, so it's not in this material. Let me stop sharing this. Let me look for, I didn't know it's not here. Okay. I will come. No, let me quickly solve that. Let me open. I think somebody shared it. Let me put. Okay. Also, I'm trying to pick a question that was tested. I didn't know that it's not in this material. A question that was tested in May 2023 diets. So I want us to go through that since it is the same thing as what we're having right now. So, okay, which one is this? Performance management. Illustration number 1. Okay, I think this is it. Let me share this one. Forward to, yeah. Okay. Forward. Yes. Go to the WhatsApp. Go and pick the question you have there. Pick the question you have there. First, Vesta pricing. So I need somebody to read for us. Who is reading? Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing. Let me share. Let me first thing first. Okay. Sure. And this is it. Let me know if you can see my screen, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I think, sorry, Abdulatif is saying, so I think the issue of idle time can also be looked can also be looked at to reduce working capital. Idle time. How? Anyway, yes.
Mr.
So,
Pricey,
thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. Pricey and thank you, sir. Mr. Pricey and Company Limited is a manufacturing outfit located in Port Harcourt. It produces a tracking device that is attached to motor vehicles. The device is designed to help locate the company's capital or cash operating cycle is the length of time between the payment for purchased materials and the receipt of payment from selling the goods made with the materials. The table below gives information extracted from the annual account of Vesta Pricey and Company Limited for the past 3 years. Extras from Vesta Pricey and Company Limited annual account for 31st December 2020 to December 2022. We have our years 2020, 2021, 2022.
Okay. Let me increase the size of this one. Okay, read on. Amarachi, read on.
Other information is as follows. 1. All purchases and sales are on credit. 2. Direct wages. 2021, 300,000. 2022, 250,000. 3. Production expenses. 2021, 72,600. 2022, 171,995. The company's policy is that any data that will be used for the statement of financial position in determining the working capital cycle period will be average based. Required. Number 1, compute the cost of goods sold for 2021 and 2022. 2, calculate the length of the working capital cycle, assuming 365 days in the year for 2021 and 2022. 3, list the actions that the management of the company might take to reduce the length of the cycle.
So all this then, that's it. The B part is not part of the working capital. All right. So the B part is on the decision making under uncertainty. So we'll come back to that one later at a later future date. But thank you once again, Amara. So what the examiner is asking you here is that you are expected to calculate the cost of goods sold for 2021 and 2022. That's the first requirement. So without wasting more time, yes, let's go ahead and calculate the cost of goods sold. How do you do this? Please open to the material at your own hand so that I can switch. Okay. How do you then compute the cost of goods sold? Remember, when we did operating statement, marginal and absorption costing, particularly under marginal costing techniques, to get your cost of goods sold, all the direct material, you are going to add up all the direct materials, all right? Direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, variable overhead. You have your cost of goods available for sales, your less closing stock. That will give you cost of goods sold. So that's what the examiner is asking you. However, as far as this question is concerned, so we also have inventory. You are given inventory. You have additional purchases. So you have raw material, work in progress, finished goods, and all of that. So these are the information. So examiner is asking you to compute for 2021 and 2022. So all these figures that you have here, So look at the information the examiner has told you in the heading. Extract from Vesta Pricey and Company Limited annual account for 31st December 2020 to 2022, okay, are given. So what this simply means is that all the figures that you have on the screen are the figures as at end of December of each year. Therefore, for example, in 2020, raw material in 2020, which is 108,000. So as you are moving to 1st of January 2021, that closing stock, that closing raw material of 108,000 will become opening stock in 2021. As we are moving to 2022, the closing stock of 2021 of 145,800 will become opening stock in 2022. So examiner wants us to calculate only for 2022 and 2021. Quickly, within the next few minutes, let me stop sharing this and let's move to the working note so that we can quickly complete the question and move to the next one. All right. Okay. So examiner is asking us, this is solution to illustration number, and this, let me move to the next page. So, oh, okay, it's not even in the question. Okay. Solution to ICANN May 2023, question number 1A. Okay, question number 1A. So the name of this company is Vesta Pricey. Is it a limited? Vesta Pricey, is it a limited or okay, it's a limited company. All right. Vesta Pricey Limited. All right. So I want to calculate cost of goods sold. I would then say A1. A, Roman figure 1, calculating cost of goods sold. Please write it out in full on the day of your exam. All right. So examiner says we should do for 2021 and 2022. So 2021, then 22. Okay. Wow. This place will not be sufficient. I will manage it. Okay, then. So I want to calculate. Let's start from inventory. Remember, we said you are going to add up for you to get your cost of goods sold. You need direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, variable overhead. Now, in your direct material, there are 3 components of your inventory. Okay, the direct material, work in progress, and finished goods. All right, so you have the 3 of them in this question. Therefore, first thing first, I would then say opening raw material, because examiner told me that I should calculate for only 2021 and 2022, and all the figures given to me are as at end of each year. So the raw material of 2020 is a closing raw material of 2020. As at 1st of January 2021, it will become opening raw material. Therefore, how much is that raw material in 2020? 108,000. So here will then be opening raw material is 108,000. Then I will less closing raw material. The closing raw material for 2020 is equal to 145,800. Here is 145,800. Therefore, that will give me the actual raw material consumed in 2021. So I don't need to be finding difference. I will just move on. The next one, since I also have work in progress in this question, I will then say opening work in progress. In 2020, how much is work in progress? In 2020, Work in progress is 75,600. So that will become, here is 75. Is it 600? Let me confirm. Yes, 75,600. So that will become opening stock in 2021. Then I will less closing stock of work in progress. Closing work in progress in 2021 is 97,200. Here is 97,200. Okay. Again, no need for you to be looking for difference. Just continue. We also have finished goods. Therefore, opening finished goods. So finished goods in 2020, which is 86,400. 86,400 will become opening stock in 2021. Then I will less closing finished goods. In 2021, finished goods is 129,600. 129,600. So I will find the difference. Okay. What else? I've taken the three of them: raw material, work in progress, then finished goods. According to the question, we also have purchases. Okay. So we are going to add purchases, the actual purchases. So I will add purchases. So I did not even do for 2022. So purchases in 2021 is 702,000. 702,000. Okay, so let me pick for 2022. So give me the corresponding number for 2022.
145,800.
145,800.
180,000.
Pardon?
180,000.
180,000. Okay. Then this one will be 97,200.
93,360.
93,360. Okay.
Then finished goods 129,600.
129,600.
142,875.
142,875.
Purchases is 720,000.
720,000. Thank you. All right then. So the next thing we need to do now, of course, if you want to determine total inventory, you can add up everything, find the net amount. But again, you don't have time for all of that. It's just 3 marks. So the next thing I need to do, I'll go back to the question. If I have any other direct cost. In this question, on the first table, I don't have the trade receivable, the sales value, the trade payable. They are not direct costs. I'll move to the second page. In the second page, let me increase the font again for my hand. In the second page, examiner has given to me direct wages. All purchases and sales are on credit. Then working about note number 2, direct wages. 2021, 300,000. 2022, 250. So I have direct wages. I will just continue. I will say direct wages. Direct wages is 300,000. Then here is 250,000. Okay. What else? I also have production expenses. Okay, these are direct production costs. 2021, 72,600. 2022, 171,995. 72,600. Okay, move to the next page. Direct expense or production expenses. Okay. 72,600. 170 watts. 171,995. 171,995. What other costs? So that's it. That's it. So let's find the total. Let's find the total. Add up all the numbers. Yeah, pick it one by one. Give it to me. Back, so that we can move to the next one.
972,000.
Which one?
221.
Okay, 972,000. Okay. Yes. $2022. Yes. 2022, what do you get?
1,098,360.
1,098,360 naira. So this represents the cost of goods sold. That's the cost of sales. That's the cost of sales for each year. So now that we have the cost of sales, that's 3 marks. We pocket it. Let's move to the next one. So number A2, calculate the length of the working capital cycle, assuming 365 days in a year for 2021 and 2022, 7 marks. Okay, so let's go and do that. Again, I will then come here, Roman figure 2, calculating working capital cycle. Okay. So in this question, examiner asked me to do for 2021 as well as 2022. Okay. So the 5 of them are present in this question because we have raw material. So we are going to calculate raw material conversion period. We are going to compute work in progress conversion period, finished goods conversion period, debtors conversion period. Then we are going to have gross working capital cycle. Okay, capital cycle. Then we are going to have creditors payments period. Then we have net working capital cycle. All right then, so let me first thing first complete my table so that I'll just go and do my working ones and for all. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Here's the final answer. So let's go and do our working now. So I can then come here. Of course, the second part of that table will be for the number 3, A3. So let's do our workings here. So we have for 2021 and 2022. So let's do our workings here. So I will divide the table into 3. Okay, so this is the first one. Second cycle, third cycle, the fourth one, then the last one. Okay, so I will divide this table into 3. First thing first. Is that the last one? Oh, yes. It's not complete. Okay. All right. So divide this table into 3. Okay. So here is 2021, 2022. So we want to calculate raw material conversion period, which is, oh, this will not work because examiner has told us to use average method. Okay, let me do it this way. Because this will be too short for me. Let me extend this and see whether it will work. So to use average method, our examiner said we should use average figures for all of them because it's a policy of Vesta pricing. Therefore, I would then say to get the raw material conversion period, I will say opening raw material plus closing raw material. Okay, opening raw material plus closing raw material divide by 2 divide by 2 or divide by purchases. Okay, or divide by purchases, then multiply by 365. You can see that's what I said. That thing that I did, that line that I've drawn will not be sufficient. Okay, let's see how it will work. Now, of course, okay, multiply by 365. Okay, let me see.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
You can extend the lines. All this space you left at the both side can be used as well.
I know. That's what I'm trying to do. I reduce my font size. Okay, in 2021, so the opening stock in 2021 for raw material, opening raw material in 2021 was 108. 108 plus 145. 108,000 plus 145,000. Is it 145,000 or 145,800?
145,800.
145,800. All of this divide by 2. Okay. Then divide by purchases. Purchases in 2021. Purchases in 2021 was
702,000.
702,000. Here is 702,000. All multiplied by 365 days.
66 days.
This is equal to 66 days. Let me see if I can reduce the other one that will suffer it. Let me see. Okay. So in 2022, what's opening stock in 2022? Of course, that would be closing stock in 2021, 145.
800.
800 plus closing stock in 2021 for raw material.
180,000.
180,000 divided by 2. Divided by what was the close or what's the purchases in 2022? That should be 720,000. Okay. So multiply by 365.
83 days.
83 days. I hope others are following because it's only Kunle and Abdulatif. I can hear their voice. Don't go and be writing on the margin on the day of your exam. This is not permitted. You have to write within the space allotted. You don't write on margins when you're writing professional exam. You may be penalized. All right. So that's for that. Then I will now do work in progress conversion period. So what's the opening work in progress in 2021?
75,600.
Sorry. I've not written out the formula first. So opening plus closing work in progress divided by 2. Okay. Or divided by cost of goods sold. Multiply by 365 days. So you said 75,000, right?
75,600.
Okay, 75,600 plus closing working
97,200.
97,200. This divided by 2. Cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold we got was 972, I think. Yeah. 972,000. Here is 972,000 multiplied by 365 days. What you get?
32 days.
92.
32.
32 days. So here will be 97,200 plus
33 days approximately.
33 days, okay. So what's the closing work in progress in 2022?
93,360.
93,360 divided by 2. Divided by cost of goods sold of 1,098,000. Is it 360?
360.
Okay, so multiply by 365. So what do you have?
32 days.
32 days. Here is 32 days. Then finished goods conversion period equal to opening finished goods plus closing finished goods. All right, divide by 2 or divide by cost of goods sold, multiply by 365 days. So what's the opening finished goods in 2021?
86,400.
86,400 plus closing finished goods.
129,600.
129,600 divided by 2. Divided by cost of goods sold, 972. Multiply by 365. What you get?
41 days.
41. Come. Where is Tife? Let me look at you guys. Because this one I'm hearing only Kunle, Abdulatif, and one other guy. Amarachi, Abigail, Gloria, Ify, Orobo, you don't talk. Ruth, are you
I'm here,
taking?
sir.
Because I'm wondering, only few people
I'm here,
I
sir.
can hear there.
Yeah, yes, sir.
It's okay.
I am here, sir, Robert.
So I don't want to be alone. You know, they worked alone on Saturday. So me, I don't want to work alone. That's why I'm checking on you guys. Okay. So let's move on. Sorry for the Liverpool fans among you. Yeah. Okay. So in 2022, the closing stock in closing finished goods will become opening, which is 129,600 plus then
142,875. 142,875.
142,875 divided by 2. Okay, then all divided by 10,988,360 multiplied by 365. So you have a bigger note, so you know what to do when you are writing it in your notes. Let me write this to give space. Okay then. So what do you get?
45 days.
45 days. Then we have debtors conversion period, which is average debtors, opening plus closing debtors divided by 2. Let me write 2. Divide by 2. Then divide by
sales.
Credit sales. Examiner has told us that all purchases and sales are on credits. Therefore, oh, I did not close this one. All right. So what's the opening? Opening receivables.
172,800.
172,800 plus closing receivables.
259,200.
259,200 divided by 2. Or divide by credit sales. What's the revenue given to us?
1,080,000.
1,080,000 multiplied by 365 days. What you get? Yep. What you get?
73 days.
3 days.
73 days. Then here is 259,200 plus closing 297,000 divided by 2 or divided by credit sales in 2022.
1,188,000.
1,188,000. Okay. Multiplied by 365 days. Give it to me.
85 days.
85 days. The last one, creditors payment period, which is opening plus closing creditors, all divided by 2. Okay. Divided by credit purchase. Credit purchases. multiplied by 365 days. So what's opening creditors in 2021?
86,400.
86,400 plus closing
105,300.
105,300, then divide by 2 over credit purchase of 972,000 multiplied by 365 days. Give it to me.
Credit purchase is 702,000.
Oh, 702. Yeah, cost of sales is 972. 702. Thank you. 702,000. So what do you get?
100 days.
100 days.
Yes, sir.
Are you sure it's 100 days? Do it again. 86,400.
50 days.
50.
50 days.
Okay.
Okay.
50,
I did
50,
divide by 2.
50 days. All right. So 105,300 plus, what's the closing creditors payable?
126,000.
126,000 divided by 2 or divided by credit purchases, which is 720. Final answer, what you get? What you get?
59 days.
59 days. 59 days. So we are done with all the workings. So let us go and post. So you'll be giving me the number one by one. I know the first one, 6683. Here is 6683. What about work in progress?
3332.
3332.
3332. Next one. Finish goods.
4145.
4145. Then
7385.
7385. So let's add up.
213.
213. What about the creditors? 50. So that will 245 minus 59. So what's the difference?
2022 186.
86.
You said
86 minus 59, 186.
Okay, 186. Then
163.
63. Okay, so that's the net working capital cycle. This is what the examiner wants you to do, and that's what we have done. Okay, so you can check the accuracy of the numbers at your own hand in case there's any difference. All right, so that's that. But that's not the end of the question. In the A3 of the question, you have to list the actions that the management of the company might take to reduce the length of the cycle, which is consistent with the question, with the one we solved under Ballerina PLC. So what are the actions that the company can take to reduce the length of the cycle? On the raw material, we advise that the company can adopt just-in-time system, all right? That will reduce the cost of the stock holding cost. Okay, that will reduce the stock holding cost, or the company can just minimize or reduce the raw material required. All right, the raw materials. So that will also free up space, storage space. Okay, then under the work in progress, the company can adopt new technology, purchase new machine or advanced model machine that is capable of producing high volume and better quality products. Okay, of course, there are other costs that will be attached to that. It's not for free. The company will spend money to purchase the machine. Okay, the company can also expand the existing machine, can expand the capacity of the existing machine to allow overtime work hour. Not only that, it will enable it to enhance operating efficiency because more labor will be able to work on the machine to produce more quantities and all of that. Then the finished goods conversion period. How do you reduce the finished goods conversion period? To reduce the finished goods conversion period, the company can engage in aggressive marketing. All right, companies should engage on aggressive marketing because once as you are producing, you are selling it, you are marketing it, you are selling your product. So little will be left in the warehouse. Okay, little will be left in the warehouse, and that will reduce the finished goods conversion period. Then for the debtor collection period, how do you reduce the debtors collection period? You can offer quantity discounts. All right, sorry, you can grant discount to your customers, so for them to encourage them to pay on time instead of waiting for a specified future date. So when you offer the customers credit time, Libra credit time, so that will encourage them to pay cash. Again, that will reduce the cycle. Then the last one, which is creditors payment period, you can negotiate with the company should negotiate with the supplier to grant additional or to grant extension. Okay, this may not go well with the supplier because the supplier may deem investor pricing not credit worthy. Okay, that will impair the image of the company. So these are the actions that the management of investor pricing can take to reduce the length of the cycle. So like I said, the B part of this question is under risk and uncertainty, which is, of course, decision-making under uncertainty, where you have maximi, minimax, Laplace, Bayes, and all of that. So when we get to risk and uncertainty at a later future dates in the diets, we are going to be talking about that. Okay, that's the end of the question. Let me know if you have any questions so far on this. Another areas I want us to look at is working capital ratio. Okay, once I have one more question on that working capital ratio, then I know that I'm done with anything that has to do with operating cycle and the working capital ratio. So let me know if you have any question. If none, then let's move to working capital ratio. Okay, let me stop sharing this. Somebody is talking. Expand their distribution channel for finished goods. Yes, you can also expand this. You are correct, Amount. You can expand distribution channel for finished goods. Okay, maybe your market is just Oshodi. Okay, in Lagos, maybe your market is just Oshodi. You can expand your market. Okay, go to other markets like Onyibo. Even going outside Lagos, you can go to Ibadan, you can go to East, you can go to the North. All right. Once you expand your distribution channel, of course, that will also increase the number of sales that the company will be able to generate. And not only that, that will not come for free. There are costs associated with expansion and all of that. Okay, then. So, fantastic. You are correct. So let me stop. I've already stopped sharing. Then let me share with you again one more areas that we need to talk about. So I'll just, after this illustration, we call it a day. Then in our next class, by the grace of God, we just go for inventory management. Okay. Let me look for a question under working capital ratio. Okay, let's solve this illustration number 8. Now, when you talk about working capital ratio are the matrix, okay? The matrix to measure, designed to measure the liquidity position of a company. I take it again. Working capital ratios are the ratios or metrics designed principally to measure the liquidity position of a business. We have, under the working capital ratio, we have current ratio, asset test, then you also have a sales to working capital ratio. All these ratios are what you can use to measure the liquidity position of a company, particularly as it has to do with current asset and then the liquid. Okay, so let's have this illustration number 8. In this case, I will not ask any one of you to read. Let me look for somebody that I've not talking since. This Yusuf, I've never heard your voice before. Yusuf, read.
I've been giving you solutions.
Oh, okay. You are the one. Yeah, I know. I know that voice. Uche, read. Uche. Oh. Are you still there, Uche? Okay, Victoria, read.
I can read, sir, if you want.
Okay, go ahead, Yusuf.
All right, sir. So,
Okay.
illustration 8, the A part, list 5 relevant factors that determine the working capital requirements of a firm. The B part, the management of Ayetoro Nigeria PLC desires to review their working capital management policy and has presented the data stated below to you as the newly employed management accountant. In order to assist in taking a meaningful decision, the following data were given. Current assets, stock,
Leave this
stocks. Okay. You are required to calculate purchases during the year were 105,120,000. Sales were 168 million. You are required to calculate the following: sales stroke working capital ratio, current ratio, quick ratio, or asset test ratio, the operating cycle for the working capital.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. That is the question. So examiner is asking us to compute all these ratios and then including the operating cycle for the working capital. So let me stop sharing this and move to the working note. Come, where is Jacob? Let me see. Jacob, are you around? I doubt it. Jacob is not online. Okay. I hope you are fine. All right then. So let's solve. So examiner is asking us, let me see, illustration number 8, I think. Yes, solution to illustration number 8. Okay, the name of this company is Ayetoro Limited. Is it a limited or PLC? Let me confirm. Nigeria PLC. Ayetoro Nigerian PLC. Nigeria PLC. In number A parts, you have to list 5 relevant factors that determine the working capital requirement of a firm. Okay, 5 relevant factors that determine the working capital of a firm. All right. So, of course, I will show you later on. We'll come back to that number A later on. But first thing first, let's solve this number B part. Okay, number B. So I want to determine the first one. B1 is sales to working capital ratio. The sales to working capital ratio measures the number of times sales value will cover the working capital, and it is determined as a sales value divided by working capital. Okay, so number B1, B Roman figure 1. sales to working capital ratio is calculated as sales divided by working capital. It measures the relationship between sales and working capital. So it must be expressed in times. We want to know how many times does sales value cover working capital. So I will then go to the question. How much is sales value? Sales value is 168 million naira. So here is 168 million divided by the working capital. I will then go to the question, how much is working capital? Working capital is not given to us. And you know that working capital is the difference between current asset and current liability. When you are calculating for working capital, so we have 53,640 minus 10,080,000. That will give us working capital. Let me go on the, oh, I'm using the wrong space. I can't use this space. Sorry. I'll have to start all over again. Okay. Okay, let's start from here. Solution to illustration 8. A, then B. B1 says to working capital ratio, which is equal to sales value divided by working capital. Okay, so equal 168 million divided by, so we need to go and calculate our working capital. The name of the company is Ayetoro Nigeria PLC. Okay, so let's go and work out the working capital. Let's use this space. No, this space, then, okay, let's use this space. So I want to calculate working capital, which is current assets minus current liability. So working capital will then be equal to 53 million. Current asset, according to the question, is 53,640. 640,000 minus current liability of 10,080,000. What do you have? What's the difference? 43 what? Are we still together?
560.
560,
43,
thank you.
560.
560,000. So that represents the working capital. Remember, in our definition, working capital represents the difference between current asset and current liability. So just go to the balance sheet, pick the value for current assets less the value of current liability. The difference is the working capital. So I will then come here, 43,560,000. Give it to me. What do you have?
3.856.
That's
3
three.
million.
That's 3.
56.
Okay, that's 3.9. Ratio 3.9 to 1. Ratio 3.9 to 1, which means that the sales value cover the working capital like 4 times, which is good. But again, Of course, this is a good one for Ayetoro Nigeria PLC. Then number 2, B2, you have to calculate current ratio. Current ratio, that's number 2. Current ratio. This measures the relationship between the current asset and the current liability. It measures the relationship between current asset and current liability. And then, of course, it is computed by dividing the current asset with the current liability. So the industry average for current ratio differ from one industry to another, but the worldwide acceptability is the ratio between 1.5 and 3. Okay? The ratio between 1.5 and 3 to 1 is the accepted ratio for current, is accepted current ratio. So to calculate the current ratio, this current assets divided by current liability. Okay? And the current asset is 53,640,000 divided by 10,080,000. So what do you get?
5,321.
5.321. So here is 5.3 to 1. Ratio 5.3 to 1. This is a big one. You can see it's more than even the industry standard. So that means this company is over investing in current assets. So this is not good enough. All right. This is over investments in current assets. So yes. The next one is a quick ratio or acid test. It can be called quick ratio, liquid asset, or liquid ratio or acid test. All right. So the liquid ratio, number 3, acid test ratio. The acid test ratio measures the relationship between the liquid assets to the total liability, to the current liability of the company. So when you talk about liquid asset, the liquid asset are the ones that can easily be transferred that can easily be converted to cash. Of course, inventory is not part of them because inventory is the asset that the company will dispose to be able to earn revenue, and it can stay longer as long as the customer are not coming for it, because you are not certain what the market response will be. Therefore, inventory generally is not part of the liquid assets. So to get your acid test, you have to concentrate only on the liquid asset. So to get the liquid asset, you pick your current assets minus inventory. Then divide by the current liability. So current asset is 53,640,000. How much is inventory? How much is inventory?
21,600.
21,600,000. So what do you have here? Final answer. Okay.
3.178.
3.178. That's 3.2, ratio 3.2 to 1. So the industry average is 2 to 1, ratio 2 to 1. All right. The worldwide acceptable standard for acid test is ratio 2 to 1. All right. But you can see the company is over investing despite removing the illiquid assets. It's still very high. So this is not good. All right. That's over investment. Again, for you to be able to apart from comparing this with industry standards, you also need to compare with you need to consider what we call horizontal analysis, okay, or trend. Check the trend of the company last year, in the previous year, what was the acid test ratio? Okay, now compare with your competitors. How are they doing? How are they faring in relation to acid test or any of this ratio for the ratio to be able to make sense? But again, generally, the worldwide acceptable standard is ratio 2:1 as far as acid test is concerned. But for the current ratio, is the ratio between 1.5 and 3 that is acceptable standard. Okay, then last of the question, we are asked to calculate the operating cycle for the working capital. We want to calculate operating cycle. Number 4, calculating operating cycle. Okay. So I would then go to the question. How am I going to calculate my operating cycle? Under the current assets, we are given stock, raw materials. Okay, we have raw material. We also have debtors. Then we have creditors. Only 3 out of the 5 line items. Therefore, we are going to calculate raw material, conversion period. Then we have debtors, conversion period. Okay, we have gross operating cycle. Then we less creditors, payments period. So that will give us net operating cycle. So that's what the examiner is asking us to do. Okay. All right. Let me do that one again. Okay, so let's go and calculate the raw material conversion period. So let's go and do our working. So I want to calculate raw material conversion period. Raw material conversion period equal to, examiner did not tell us whether we should use average figure. So you're at liberty. Of course, we don't even have information for, we don't have the necessary data for that. Therefore, I would then say raw material divided by purchases multiplied by 365 days, which is equal to, go back to the question, how much is raw material? 21,600,000. 21,600,000 divided by purchases. We are told that purchases 105, 120, 105, 120. Kunle, you are welcome back. Multiply by 365.
75 days.
75 days is the raw material conversion period. 75 days. You can see in this question, the examiner did not tell us whether to use 365 or 360 days. 360 days. You have to state your assumption whether you are using 365 or 360 days. So you have to state it there. Then the next one, according to the question, we also have debtors. So we need to calculate debtors collection period. Number one, number two, debtors conversion period or collection period, which is debtors divided by credits sales multiplied by 365. days. How much is debtors?
32 million.
32 million divided by credit sales. Sales is 168 million multiplied by 365 days.
70 days.
Here is 70 days. Thank you. Then the last one, creditors payment period. Creditors payment period, which is creditors divided by credit purchases. Let me rewrite it. Credits purchases multiplied by 365 days. How much is creditor? 10 million
and
80,000. Purchases is 105.
120.
120,000 multiplied by 365. Okay. Is it 105, 120, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Final answer. What you get?
35 days.
35 days. So let's go and post. We have 75, 70, 35. 75, 70, that's 145 days, minus 35 days, that's 110. So the net operating cycle is 110 days. So that's end of the question. 15 marks, 15 marks. So you pocket it, move to the next one. All right. So number A part of, let me stop. Let me know first if you have any question on this before we move to, I want to show you the number A part. I will just explain it. It's already in your notes. I just want to explain it. All right. So if there's no question, let me stop sharing this. Before that, let me even confirm that it is there. Yeah, I think it should be there. That's a determinant of working capital. Yes, is there. So let me stop sharing this and move to the working notes. So in the requirements, in this particular requirements, examiner is asking you to, is it to list? Let me go back to the question again. Let me duplicate this. Number 8. Okay. So in the number A requirement of the question, okay, in the A requirement of the question, examiner is asking you to list 5 relevant factors that determine the working capital requirement of a company. What this is saying is that for you to be able to say that you need a working capital, what are the factors that you need to take into consideration? What are the determinants? What are the criteria? What are the factors? What are the things you must take into consideration before you know that you need so much as working capital? One of them is the nature and size of the business. Okay, let me go back to this one. So one of them is the nature and size of the business. Okay, the larger, the bigger the size of the needed of working capital that a company like Dangote, a manufacturing company will require will be different from the level of working capital required by a smaller company. Or for example, the working capital that a bank like Zenith will require will be different. I mean, will be much more bigger than the working capital required by a mortgage bank. So these are the things that we are talking about. Then business environment too is part of the determinant of working capital. When there's price level changes during inflation, the company will need more of working capital because the cash available, the money available is not even sufficient to buy the level of material that you used to buy again. Therefore, when there's price levels changes, when there's inflation, which has affected purchasing power of money, more cash, more money will be needed to purchase the raw material. Okay. Again, the next one is the firm's credit policy. So if the firm's credit policy, if the company has a liberal credit policy, liberal simply means that you give your customer some kind of a leeway in terms of the credit terms. Okay, maybe 30 days, 45 days, even 2 months. So that means you are going to need more working capital for you to be able to ensure that you have sufficient stocks to sell. But if the company has a very tight credit terms, okay, very strict and tight credit terms, then of course that means the amount of the material, the working capital required may not be too large when the company has a strict or tight working credit policy, because you are not allowing, you are not giving your customer a breathing space in relation to buying your goods on credit. Then the next one is availability of credit from suppliers. If the supplier grants you credits, okay, if the suppliers grant you credit, then you are at liberty to buy. I mean, the working capital that you are going to require may not be too much, because anytime you call on your supplier, they are ready to deliver. But if you don't have credit facility from your supplier, which means that you are going to need more money to purchase all those raw materials that you needed for production, okay? That will increase your working capital requirement. Then growth and expansion. When a company is growing or expanding to another location and all of that, company will require a huge, will require more working capital relative to a company that is stagnant or a company that is restricted in a particular location. Okay, for example, Equity Professional, we have a center in Victoria Island, Lagos, then another one in Isolo. So the working capital that Equity Professional will require will be much more bigger than a center that having only one location. Okay, for a center that have only one location. So we have operation. We have about 3 segments. We are doing online in VI. Sorry, we are doing physical class in VI. We are doing another physical class in Isolo. We're also doing online all together. So, for example, we are going to pay lecturer fee for Isolo. We pay lecturer fee for VI. We pay lecturer fee for online. So there are 3 segments. Therefore, relative to that means we are going to need more cash to pay salaries. So relative to a center that have just only one location, all right, you can see that means we need more working capital. Equity Professional need more working capital relative to other tuition centers. So this is what we are trying to say. So when the company is trying to expand, okay, to expand operation, or when the company is growing, certainly more working capital will be needed to run the affairs of the businesses. All right. So this is what we are talking about. So take time to review all these materials. So, and that will be all for today. By the grace of God, in our next class, we are going to move to inventory management. We'll move to inventory management. Before we close the class for tonight, let's briefly talk about overtrading and then under trading. Okay, let's quickly talk about that so that at least now we wrap up the class for today. So what do you understand by overtrading? What do you understand by overtrading? When a company is trying to do too much too quickly, okay, with little or no capital. We said a company is over trading, okay? Mostly a company that is over trading may be profitable, but problem may arise when the company, when the supplier, for example, refuse to give credit or refuse to supply raw material to the company, or when the bank refuse to give credit facility. So there may be a problem. This may impair the ability of the company to continue on a going concern basis. So when the company is trying to do too much too quickly with little capital or no capital, then in this case, we said a company is over trading. Okay, we said a company is over trading because the company, a company that is over trading may be making very large sales. Customers are willing and they're ready to buy, but the company does not have sufficient current assets to run the affairs of the business, to generate small sales. So the company is just moving here and there, okay, borrowing this, getting that, collecting materials from the suppliers, borrowing money from the banks and all of that, just to engage, to ensure that the operation of the business is not curtailed. So when the company is doing this, that means the company, you don't have your own capital, you don't have your own resources, you are just borrowing here and there. So that means the company is trying to do too much too quickly with little or no capital. So what are the symptoms? What are the symptoms of over trading? Okay, one symptom of over trading is low liquidity ratio. You know, we said liquidity ratio is the ratio of current asset to current liability, or current asset minus current liability, sorry, minus inventory divided by current liability. So when you have low liquidity ratio, it means that your current asset is very low, but your current liability is large, all right? You have a small current asset, but a bigger current liability. When this happens, then that's a sign for you that a company is over trading. Again, number two is rapid growth in current and fixed assets. Okay, when you just experience rapid growth in current assets and fixed assets, then also that's a symptom of overtrading. Possibly you are borrowing money to purchase those assets all of a sudden, and they started growing. Okay, again, rapid growth in turnover. Turnover is the same thing as sales or revenue. Okay, so these are some, you can just go through it. These are some of the symptoms of over trading. So when a company is over trading, it can the company can run into trouble. Okay, the company can run into trouble as it is unable to pay its creditors as and when due. All right, because every now and then different creditors will be coming to your to your office to come and ask for you to pay. You know, every time you'll be receiving calls from the creditors. When are you going to settle us? Okay, we are coming. We are coming. So again, the company just be running here and there. You borrow money from Mr. A to settle Mr. B because you don't have sufficient capital to run your business. So these are when the company is facing, whenever you see any company that is finding it difficult to pay salary, end of the month, you don't pay people that have worked for you for over 1 month. I mean, for the whole month. Then 15 days after the end of the month, you are still owing. Then you should run. That employee, you should run away from such a company. So you have to be at the lookout. Any company that is owing 45 days and you have not paid your salary, you have not paid salary. So you are using the salary to run your business. Some companies, they will be owing government. Instead of them to pay salary, they've deducted tax. They've deducted payee from their employees. Instead of them to remit the money to the tax authority, to the relevant tax authority, they won't do that. They've deducted withholding tax, VAT, value-added tax from their customers. Instead of them to settle, I mean, to go and file the return, they will not file the return. They will recoup. I mean, they will turn around the money again. They will turn it into their business because they don't have sufficient. They are using government money. They are using their staff money, staff salary to run their business. So when you see a company that is facing that kind of a challenges, then please don't put all your eggs in one basket. Start looking, start looking elsewhere so that you don't experience a very bad, you don't have a very bad experience at the end of the day. Okay, then that is over trading. What about under trading? Okay, what about under trading or over capitalization? All right, under trading or over capitalization. So it's just an opposite of over trading. In this situation, when you say the company is under trading, it means that the company is being financially equipped, okay, to conduct a much larger volume of trade than necessary. You have so much huge current assets, and you have huge current assets. You have, because you have so much capital. The money you could have, the company could have invested in short-term marketable security is just there, wasting away. So there's an excess inventory, accounts receivable, okay, and cash, idle cash. This idle cash would have been invested in short-term marketable securities like treasury bill, like a government bond, which are risk-free, all right? But the money is just there, swelling, and the company is happy. Oh, I have so much asset. I have so much asset. These are assets that would have generated additional return to the business. Even like an individual, like some of you, maybe you have in your bank account, you have about ₦1 million, even less, maybe 500,000 naira or 5 million naira. You just keep it in your bank account because you don't need it for now. Maybe you want to buy landed property or you want to buy a motor vehicle, but the money is not yet completed. So you are keeping it in your savings account. Any money you put in your savings account is not yielding anything. You yourself, you know that at the end of the month, if you have money in your bank account that you don't touch for a period of 1 month, how much interest is your bank going to pay you? Very little. But if you have 500,000 naira and you invest it in short-term marketable security, like government security such as a bond or treasury bill. I think the last cycle of a treasury bill they did something last week is around 18% or thereabout. I can't remember the percentage. All right. So, which is no bank in this current economy, no bank in Nigeria can pay you that 18% return on your investment. All right. So instead of you to be wasting money, just keeping money in your bank because you don't know, you are not financially literate. Okay. There's difference between if you are educated, maybe you go to school, you are a graduate and all of that. It's just a different thing for you to be financially literate, you know. So you don't keep so much money idle, doing nothing. So you shouldn't be saving money in the bank. But whatever money you are going to save in the bank should be something you'll be using to run your affairs, your family, you know, you want to do this, you want to do that. But any money that is huge, over a 500,000 naira and above, should not be keeping it, should not be kept in the bank. It's something you should invest. Even if it's for just 3 months. That's why it is called short-term marketable security. Just for 3 months or 90 days or 180 days, you are going to immediately you get your return. Say, for example, you invest 1 million naira for 3 months on treasury bill. As you are all you need to do is a call. Call your account officer. Please, when is the next cycle of the TB? You are going to be told. Once your account officer tells, okay, once it is time, give instruction to your bank. So please invest so much money, so much amount of money on a treasury bill from this account. That's all. That's what you need. Immediately you are going to be credited with your returns. Then at the end of the cycle of the treasury bill, you are going to the principal will be returned. That's how it works. Instead of keeping it in the bank, you did nothing, you know. So this is what we are talking about. So when you talk about under trading, the company has so much assets, okay, like inventory, like account receivable, okay, like cash and cash equivalents. So there's so much of them, the excessive amount of them, which is not good. All right, and then with very little or few account payable. So when this happens, the company is over investing. The company is over investing in current assets. The company is over investing in current assets. So working capital will be excessive and the company will be overcapitalized. So this is not good enough. What are the symptoms? One of the symptoms of overcapitalization is high turnover. High turnover, that is turnover ratio, high turnover ratio, okay? It could be asset turnover ratio, okay? There's a way you calculate that, of course. Then there is also low return on capital employed, low return on capital employed. So your return on capital employed, like your ROS or your return on investment, will be very low because you are not investing those assets. Okay, you are just keeping it somewhere. It's not generating any return. Then high current ratio, certainly like we did for Ayetoro. Ayetoro have a very high current ratio of 5.3 to 1. Okay, which is not good enough. So this is what we are talking about, and that will be end of today's class. So by the grace of God, we are going to inventory management. We are going to inventory management in our next class. So before we close the class for today, let me know if you have any question for me. If there's none, then that will be that. Some of you have already disappeared. No worries. Yes, talk to me.
Can we say that over trading is even better than under trading if there is a reliable source of funds with little or no interest charge?
None of them is okay. None of them is okay, because if your source of capital disappear, those people that are borrowing you money, if they refuse to borrow you money, especially maybe when the business is booming, and then the people you relied on that are providing you with capital to run your business refuse to give it to you, or the supplier that is giving you credits, okay, refuse to give it to you, that will be a problem. That will be challenges, and none of them is good, whether it is under trading or over trading. None of them is good. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
You're welcome. Yes, any other question? So Amon is still around. Kunle is also around. Ablatif is around. Adi Dibura, even though I did not hear your voice tonight. Amarachi, Gloria, Orobo.
Thank you very much, sir.
Praise, it's like you just joined. I didn't see your name earlier. There's Stephen too. Chohib is still on. Victoria, then Tom Grace, Yusuf. Others have disappeared. No worries. Okay, guys. This will be the end of the class for tonight. Sir, why can't I print your material? You mean the ebook, Stephen? You mean the PDF? Stephen?
If I can't print it.
You cannot print now. You know, if you are able to print, people will just be selling it. You can't have access to print now.
I mean this normal one that we normally use.
Oh, you can print this one. You can print this one. Others are printing it.
You know, I don't always have access to print. You say it can't be printed.
No. You can print.
Printer tells me.
No. But maybe you try. Maybe you go to go to business center that you want to print. Just share it with them. They will print for you.
I would always want to print in my office.
It's not. It's from your office. Maybe they've put some element of control so that you cannot print.
But I used to print Mr. Other people's materials.
It's only this one you cannot. Are you sure
yes,
it's this? Are you sure it's not my ebook? Maybe it's my ebook you want to print.
You're trying the ebook, my guy.
It's not the ebook. This particular one we use today. I tried to printing it in the office.
No, try it. Others are printing it now. Others are printing it. I usually see it in the physical class. They print it. Yeah.
Well, maybe you want to release the material.
All right, guys. So thank you for your time and for staying behind. I will see you next time by the grace of God. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Good night.